Well, the health industry in Australia is in seeming turmoil. Ongoing cost increases are stretching the budgets of health insurers, of hospital owners, of governments, and with premium increases for health insurance, consumers as well. The pressure points seem to burst this week when Australia's biggest private health insurer, BUPA, and our second biggest private hospital operator, Healthscope, appeared to be in open warfare. Healthscope wants to charge BUPA and Australian Health Services Alliance customers $50 or even $100 a day for a hospital visit, even though they have insurance. Now, Healthscope has effectively ripped up a deal with those health insurers after they refused to cover the fee. Now, the fight will potentially affect 6.6 million people from early next year who will get no or little financial relief if they check into a Healthscope hospital. Healthscope's Chief Executive, Greg Horan, joins me now. Greg, how did it come to this, that ultimately you had a deal with these health insurers that you simply say, we've got a deal, but we can't honour that deal, we've got to rip it up? Is it as simple as that?
So thanks for having me, Ross. And it's not as simple as that. We've been in negotiations with both BUPA and the Australian Health Services Alliance member funds now for many months, many months. And we can no longer continue to contract with both BUPA and the Alliance member funds where we're going to make significant losses or not be able to cover our the cost of care to be able to reinvest into our facilities and provide the outstanding patient care that we do. And so for us, we've made a line in the sand to say enough is enough. The members have been paying their premiums for decades in many cases. By the time they want to use it, they should be funding the care of their members fairly, and we can't continue to take on those sort of onerous contracts.
But don't you have a contract with them? Isn't a contract after all? And until that contract ends, you need to honour your side of that contract.
Yes, we do have a contract. The contract allows us to provide termination, but I'd rather focus on the fact that we're here, this is about the patients and making sure we can provide that exceptional care. And if we continue with the funding that we have, our business won't be sustainable. And this is a sector-wide viability issue. You've heard it from the financial health check stating that the private hospital sector is not investable. And you've got health insurers that are making super profits that, BUPA alone shared $330 million dividend with their UK owners just last year when the hospital sector is in dire straits in Australia.
So what you're saying is right now that the industry is skewed in favour of the health insurers and is skewed away from the interests of the private hospital owners. Now, just one aspect of this, however, is you have struck a deal with, say, Medibank Private. And so for those patients at Medibank Private are still going to be able to come into your hospitals and have all of their costs covered.
So what I would say is we have struck fair funding deals with Medibank, with NIB and with HCF. And I would like to correct something you said earlier, Ross, in that BUPA members are still more than welcome into our hospitals. We want to treat and care for all patients. What will happen, and it's important to note that the contract termination date for BUPA members is not until the 20th of February. So it is business as usual until then. And after that point, BUPA will still pay at least as a minimum of 85% of the rate that they're paying us today, roughly. It's called Tier 2 rates. And then there will be an out-of-pocket cost. Now, the size of that out-of-pocket cost will be determined by how much BUPA funds us. So it's really up to BUPA how much their members will get charged post the 20th of February.
OK, but I'd just come back to a very practical thing. If I am, say, being sent to a private hospital by my doctor at this stage, depending on my health fund, I might suggest that it might be better for me to go to this hospital and not that hospital based on which deal that private hospital has with which insurer. Would that be a reasonable thing to say for the public?
Sure, the public has options for sure, and they also have options to switch insurers. We have deals with over 50% of the market with Medibank, HCF, and NIB. So yes, it is an option to not come to our hospitals, but it's also an equal option to transfer and switch to another insurer. so they can go to their local private hospital and be fairly funded.
So the Australian Private Hospitals Association, of which you are a member, is indicating that there have been some 70 private hospitals closed down or that have amended their services over the past couple of years. And then you go out to the other side and you go to, say, the health insurance organisation. It's basically saying, no, if you look over the longer term, there's a whole bunch more private hospitals catering for our increased population here in Australia. Which is right?
Oh, look, there have certainly been 70 hospital closures over the past 5 years, probably more than that now, actually. And yes, there have been some hospitals open. But what I would say is, irrespective of that, the sector is in dire straits. The financial health check conducted by the government identified that the sector is uninvestable. You've only got to look at the performance right across the sector. Again, looking at our Ramsay's share price, sitting well below $40. It's gone in a market that's gone forward 20%. It's gone backwards over 45%. The sector is in real trouble, and it's largely because cost inflation has far outweighed the revenue increases that private health insurers have paid through to private hospitals.
Okay, so it's been put to me that maybe this is a plea from the private hospital operators to the federal government or even to state governments to get involved to try and provide some support to private hospital operators to ensure that they don't go out of business, because it would put enormous pressure back onto public hospitals. Is that another interpretation of what's going on here?
Oh, no, it's not. I wouldn't say that's an interpretation of what's happening for us particularly. What we're doing is taking our own sustainability and viability into our own hands. We're no longer going to sign on to, as I said, onerous contracts that don't give us the funding that we require to invest back into the high quality of care that we need to provide to our patients. We will not sacrifice that. That is sacrosanct to us. And of course, we will always work with the federal and state governments and territories. We're the only true national provider. And we work closely with all of our state and territories and federal governments. But what we're really trying to say here is, Sorry, Ross, yeah.
So I was going to say, but you have 38 private hospitals around Australia. You are nationwide, as you say. Right now, given where you sit with cost pressures, with issues with the private health insurers that you've got, are any of those hospitals, in your mind, in question? In other words, are they viable? Could we see private hospitals in your camp close down as a result of these pressures?
Look, Ross, what we're trying to do is avoid that by trying to get these deals fairly funded. Clearly, it is a threat. We wouldn't be taking such serious action if we didn't have a sustainability and viability concern. So we certainly do have a viability concern. Our whole intent and posture at the moment is about ensuring the sustainability and viability of our portfolio and ensuring that we can provide the outstanding quality of care to our patients in the local communities. We are very focused on our patients and our staff, and making sure that we can continue to provide that care is critical to us.
And what you're saying is that a deal with the likes of BUPA, Australia's largest private health insurer, would make that easier for you.
Oh, of course it would. And being funded fairly, a deal that funds us fairly for the care that we provide is clearly what we need. And what we would ultimately love. My door is still open to both BUPA and the Alliance to have a fair deal, but in the absence of that, we need to take matters into our own hands and ensure that we do as best as we can to continue to provide that outstanding quality of care in our hospitals.
Healthscope Chief Executive Greg Horan, many thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Ross. Pleasure to be here.